guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 21, here with my brilliant and sometimes beautiful co-host, the Fight Geek. Not looking so beautiful today, if I may say so. Fight Geek, how you doing, though?
Poking the bear early, huh, Phil?
You
doing
know me.
Great, man. Happy to be here. Lots to talk about as usual, but especially a lot this weekend with extra fights, Bellator and UFC.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Couldn't have said it better myself. So much to cover today, guys. We're going to do a quick UFC St. Petersburg recap. Then we're going to look ahead to UFC Fort Lauderdale / UFC Sunrise. I have no idea what it's called. I think no one knows what it's called, including the UFC. Then we're going to do a quick Bellator 220 preview, followed, of course, by listener questions. So let's jump right into it, Fight Geek. Here is my opening question for you. UFC St. Petersburg was a lot of fun. Obviously, that main event, Alistair Overeem getting the first round stoppage against Alexei Oleinik was very exciting. However, I think that the bigger story was really Islam Makhachev's victory against Arman Tsarukyan. And I just wanted to ask you, who should be next for Islam Makhachev?
Good question. Well, I think there's an obvious answer at this point. I've heard it quite a few times. I think it's got to be Gregor Gillespie. I think that's the fight. I think that's a guy who can match him stylistically. Both guys are, top prospects around the same age. Definitely think that fight should happen. That's a great fight, and whoever would win out of that fight would really catapult themselves into like that top 10 stratosphere of that division. So I would go with Gregor Gillespie on that one.
Yep. And I really, really hate to admit this, but I know that you've muted my Twitter, Fight Geek, but I actually posted a poll saying who should Islam Makhachev fight next, and I was such a moron that I didn't even include Gregor. And I agree with you. Gregor's the fight. I didn't even include him, okay?
So for the record, who was your choices?
You know what? The truth, I was scared you're going to ask me that. Let's pass.
You have your own self muted. But yeah, I think that matchup is a good one for both of those guys. Both of them seem to be upper echelon type prospects. So let's see who's ready to take the next step.
Yep. Totally
Great
agree.
performance though by Islam. That fight was a lot of fun. You really saw a lot of technical grappling and stuff like that, which was, I think everybody on Twitter was pretty impressed by. It's not really all that often that you can be super entertained by a grappling heavy fight, so that was a lot of fun.
Yep, no doubt about that. And then, while we're on that fight, really quick, I just wanted to give a little bit of respect to Tsarukyan. I mean, he came to fight. I mean, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I think he's a good-looking prospect, too. He was undefeated to that point, making his UFC debut versus a pretty seasoned guy who trains regularly with, the best lightweight in the world. So very impressive fight for him and definitely one to watch going forward.
Absolutely. Okay, so we went a little out of order. Let's quickly cover that main event. Alistair Overeem defeats Alexei Oleinik in the first round with 15 seconds left, 4:45 of the first round. I don't recall who chose Overeem and who chose Oleinik last episode. Was it me that chose Oleinik? I don't remember.
I don't recall.
I think it was me.
Yes, I took Oleinik, and it was a bad pick. But to my credit, he was in the fight until he wasn't, and Overeem did not look great to me. Even though I'm a big Overeem fan, I do feel like he's aging, and I think he showed that Oleinik had a minute there where he was charging ahead. I think he actually landed one of those wild haymakers and actually made Overeem take a step back. But yes, I did pick wrong there.
I'm such a jerk. And just so everyone knows real fast, let's be real clear about something. Fight Geek is the better predictor of fights. I'm just being a jerk because I'm usually wrong, so I always rub it in his face when I get it right.
I'm not that great of a predictor.
Well, you're right, but you're better than me. You're better than me though. So, anyways, who is next for Alistair Overeem? I know he called out Volkov. What do you think of that? How and
I mean,
also
that
how
was
far
scheduled
yeah.
previously, right? So, I mean, we may as well see that one. Overeem has fought basically everyone on the roster other than Volkov. So, sure, let's see Volkov versus Overeem.
And how far did Overeem's stock increase from this victory, if at all?
I wouldn't say his stock increased. He's Alistair Overeem. I mean, he is who he is at this point. Um, Always 2 fights, 3 fights away from a title shot if he gets on a roll. I think he's still that guy at this point, but I think he's going to have a hard time with some of the guys at the very, very top. So,
Yep.
who's next? I think Volkov has to be who's next. It makes the most sense.
I have to agree with you yet again. Okay, so
Oh,
yep. Okay, women's flyweight. Roxanne Modafferi defeats Antonina Shevchenko via split decision. I gotta admit, I did not see this one coming. I had Antonina to win before the fight. I was so impressed with Roxanne. She was pulling a Max Holloway, just coming forward, eating so much damage. But I actually think that she did not deserve that split decision. I think she should have won by unanimous decision. What are your thoughts on that?
yeah, I think she probably could have taken the unanimous decision. Obviously, Antonina had some success on the feet when she really got assertive, but Roxanne, I mean, I think what does she have? Like 36 pro fights or something versus 7 pro fights for Shevchenko. So you could really see that her ability to implement her game plan, which was to close the distance and get on top of her and, really kind of implement Roxanne's game plan was something that, Shevchenko really couldn't combat this young in her career. And there was also, I don't know if you noticed this, but it seemed to be kind of a size difference. Shevchenko's really, really thin. So
Yep.
I don't know if that bodes well for her in that division. She's just really thin. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was interesting, and it was a benefit to Roxanne because Roxanne's a little bit bigger for that weight class, it seems, and she had the strength advantage. I think that was clear.
Yeah, I do think that Antonina looked small. Having said that, I'm going to disagree because of this. Michelle Watterson is a very, very small strawweight.
Yes, but Michelle Watterson is short. She's not small. She's very dense. She has big thighs and big calves, and she's stocky. Antonina's tall and thin. Her thighs and her midsection, she's very thin. So I think, just defensive wrestling and stuff like that could be a big problem for her. Just an observation.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, so who's next for Roxanne Modafferi?
That's a tough one. Off the top of my head, you got that division pulled up or what? That's kind of a tough one off the top of my head. Who do you think she should fight? Let's go that way.
Okay. Throwing it back at me. Okay. I'm looking it up right now, but you know what? I think that she's gonna get the winner of Shevchenko versus aka Shevchenko.
There's no way they're giving her another title shot when she lost to Nico Montano or whatever.
Right, but flyweight is, I mean, it's the thinnest division, I'd argue, in the UFC. Is that not fair? Is that wrong?
Want to see Roxanne versus Joanna Jędrzejczyk?
Ooh, actually, I kind of do. You don't?
I do. I mean, I think that's a fight Joanna wins easily, but that would be kind of like giving Roxanne like a legacy fight, just a chance for her to make money and be seen, and because she's such a good trooper. But I don't know if you could really give her that fight, but I believe Joanna has lost 3 of the last 4, so you may be able to make that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so you know what the top 5 are as of right now in women's flyweight. Obviously, Valentina's the champ. Jessica Eye, number 1. Kaylin Chookagian, 2. Liz Carmouche, 3. Joanna 4, Roxanne is 5.
So, I mean, Joanna versus Roxanne or Carmouche versus Roxanne, I think, are the choices. But for some reason, that Joanna-Roxanne fight intrigues me, obviously.
Hey, I agree. Hey, Roxanne can take punishment. She can take a punch. So,
yeah, and Joanna will punish her, I believe. So, with volume. Either way, that'd be very interesting. So.
Yep, I agree.
If that fight gets made, we'll take credit for it.
Okay, sounds good. I love taking credit for fights.
All right, what else do we got?
All right, so, it's really a matter of what we want to cover. Sergey Pavlovich had a very quick knockout win over Marcelo Gome at 106 of the first round.
Looked very good. Looked like he hits really hard. Big athletic guy. Debuted. He debuted versus Alistair Overeem, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, I believe his first fight in the UFC was versus Overeem. And I think he has like 11 pro fights. So again, debuting versus Alistair Overeem, who has 60 fights. Yeah. That's a tough matchup for anyone. So to see him come back and start someone who's kind of just outside the top 15 or something, kind of gives you a little clear indication of where he's at skill-wise.
Yep, well said. And then the last card on the main card, the last fight was Krzysztof Jotko versus Alan Amedovski. Jotko won via unanimous decision. And what were your thoughts on that? And I'll quickly start off just by saying, is it just me, or is Jotko like the next Michael Johnson in terms of he was so highly revered? Everyone thought he was going to be a superstar, and I know that he won by unanimous decision. I get that, but there's just something missing. Am I wrong?
I don't know that I thought of him as highly as you painted him right there coming into the UFC. He's a good fighter. He has some skills. He's fought a couple name guys and had mixed results. So I still think he's a work in progress. I think he has potential left, but do I think he's a superstar? No, not by any means.
Yep. Got to agree with you there. And then I'm just trying to think, who would you like to see Jotko fight next? And I do have a idea that I'd like to run by you.
Throw it out there.
What do you think of Antonio Carlos Jr.?
I like that, and I would favor Shoeface.
Really nice. That's so nice of you. What if he hears this? He listens.
He's Shoeface.
Okay, all right. Any other fights that you wanted to cover on this card?
Nope, I think that does it for me.
Yeah.
You?
Yep. Marcin Tybura got his ass kicked. That's really it.
Did you say that just because I picked him?
Oh my gosh. I think I picked him too. By the way,
I think a lot of people did, except for Donnie Rocket. Shout out to Donnie Rocket, the pick master.
Ooh, throwing some shade, coming out with the fire.
He is the pick master. He gets all his picks right. I'm jealous.
No one gets all their picks right. Okay, we're getting sidetracked. All right. UFC Fort Lauderdale / UFC Sunrise. What is the title? No one knows. But let's jump into it as a preview. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the main event. Ronaldo Jacare Souza versus Jack Hermansson. And a lot of people are saying Hermansson. It's not Hermansson, it's Hermansson. Jack the Joker Hermansson versus Jacare. I think this is a really underrated fight. I think that the Joker is a very, very tricky opponent with a tricky style. And I think he's got a decent chance. That doesn't mean I'm necessarily picking him, but what do you think?
Well, I agree with you. Super intriguing fight. Maybe even a little more intriguing than Yoel Jacare, since we had already seen that.
Whoa, big words.
Hermansson has been active lately, and he's been finishing people, and he's really been climbing. So now it's kind of a crossroads fight between a guy who's surging and a aging top 3 guy who's kind of trying to keep his spot on the top of the hill. With that being said, I just can't see Hermanson getting Jacare down, and then even if he does get him down, being able to put him in compromising situations. We've seen from the last few fights, Jacare can still take a punch. He took damage versus Chris Weidman and still had the wherewithal and the cardio to put Weidman out. Was that a 3-rounder or a 5-rounder? I think it was 3.
3.
It was a 3-rounder, yeah. But the fact that he was able to fight that was like a 13, 14-minute fight at his age, take a lot of punishment, losing that fight, come back and win, and not allowing Chris to get in on him and take him down when Chris is a big wrestler as well, shows me that Jacare still has it, and I just think this will be a little too big of a step for Hermanson right now. I'm taking Jacare by... So hard to pick it, but let's say Jacare by 3rd round TKO.
Ooh, okay. All right, ready?
Sure.
I got Jack the Joker Hermanson.
Really?
By 2nd round submission.
He's going to submit Jacare, huh?
I mean, did you see what he did to BJJ black belt David Branch inside, 2 minutes?
Are David Branch and Jacare on the same planet with their jiu-jitsu?
Well, Jacare's old as hell, so actually kind of.
Nah. Oh, I guess we'll see. That's the intrigue of that fight. But Hermanson is younger. He's wiry, strong, so it'll be an interesting matchup for sure. Really like that fight.
Absolutely, totally agree. Okay. The co-main event is Greg Hardy, very well deserved, versus Dmitry Smolyakov, who is no joke, by the way. Dmitry's a good fighter. What do you make of this?
Well, I think it's another opportunity for Greg Hardy to look good for some reason. Not sure why. Looking through Dimitri's record, wasn't he stopped by Cyril Asker?
Man, you always ask me the tough ones while we're on air.
Right. Well, I know he was stopped by Cyril Asker. It was kind of a rhetorical question.
TKO punches and elbows. Yeah, he was in the first round. Yep.
So if Dimitri's getting TKO'd by Cyril Asker, no offense, he's more than likely going to get TKO or KO'd by Greg Hardy, barring any disqualification. So I would say Greg Hardy by knockout.
In which round?
Let's say the first. He'll be real focused after that last one.
I'm going to go ahead and be really controversial. I'm going to disagree and say that Greg Hardy gets the knockout in the beginning of the second.
Oh, that is so controversial.
I'm like Paulie Malignaggi. I brought my balls.
Let's move on.
Okay, all right.
Alex Cowboy Oliveira versus Mike Platinum Perry. This will be the violence fight of the night. So really looking forward to this one. Two of my favorite fighters that don't necessarily have to be in any sort of title contention. They're just very entertaining. Every time they come to fight, they bring it. Actually, I'm going to give that to you first. Who do you have in that matchup?
Yeah, this one was something that I toiled over. I was really, I don't even know if that's the right word, guys, so just go with it. I'm going to go with toiled over. I do not know if that's correct, so please don't make fun of me. But
toiled.
Okay. I have Cowboy Oliveira winning via 3rd round submission. I think that Perry is just too weak on the ground.
You're aware he trains with Jacare, though, on the ground, right?
How'd that work out with his Cowboy fight?
True, very true. In that same vein, I'm going to take Cowboy Oliveira, too. I actually think he has a 5-inch reach advantage on Perry. Perry's problem is he gets hit way too much, and he's a little slow of foot for that division. Cowboy Oliveira is very quick. He moves well. He's got long arms, and his jiu-jitsu is good. So I hate to agree with you, but I think Cowboy Oliveira will probably submit Mike Perry as well. But Mike could knock him out at any given point. That's the fun of this fight. So
Yeah, and by the way, I like Platinum Mike Perry. I genuinely do. I like his style. I think he has the intelligence of a very, very clever dog. But besides that, I think he's a good guy. So,
Okay. He is a hard puncher. That's what he's got going for him. So,
and that's all he's got
all
going
right.
for him. But okay, moving on, moving on. Glover Teixeira versus Ian Cutelaba. You take it first. Who you got?
I believe it's Ian Cutelaba.
What did I say?
Not that.
Yeah.
But that's who I'm taking.
You see what I'm dealing with, guys? Look at this. Look at this sass. This constant sass.
I think we talked about it last week. Glover's getting a little older, real slow of foot, not moving nearly as quick as he used to. I think a young Ian Cutelaba will come in and take him out, unfortunately. I've always really liked Glover Teixeira, but I'm taking Cutelaba by second round TKO.
All right. I'm gonna go on a really big branch. Balls. No, I don't know what I was gonna say. Whatever. I take Cutelaba too, by decision, by unanimous decision.
All right, next one. Cody Sandhagen versus John Lineker, another super duper fun fight.
That is a hard one to choose, bro.
Very much. You want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead.
I got Corey Sandhagen by split decision, and I think it's By the way, I think it's the hardest fight to call on the card.
I would agree there. The one thing I keep referencing is the John Lineker versus Michael Mayday McDonald fight.
Mm-hmm.
Mayday McDonald was an up-and-coming potential star, guy who looked really good in some spots, similar build to Sandhagen, and I really thought he would give John Lineker troubles. But when John Lineker gets those meat hooks on you and gets you against the cage, there's just not many people that can stay conscious for it. I think Sandhagen has a huge future in front of him, and he obviously is the more versatile guy. But I just see John Lineker being able to back him against the fence, and then he will land one of those bombs. John Lineker via knockout.
Ooh, so we disagree. All right.
Apparently.
Okay.
What else we got here? So those are the big name ones. Another fight I want to call out that I'm really looking forward to is Gilbert Burns versus Mike Davis. Now, Mike Davis was one of the top prospects on Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series last year. He lost to Sadiq Youssef, and probably one of the best fights of the season. This guy's a very good prospect coming out, debuting versus Gilbert Burns, who most people know who Gilbert Burns is. He's a big jacked Brazilian guy with good jiu-jitsu. Very tough guy to debut against. I'm going to take Gilbert Burns in that fight, but I definitely think it's a good one to watch. Definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
I will agree with you. I think that Mike Davis has a very, very good shot of pulling the upset, but ultimately, am I gonna have the guts to pull the trigger? Absolutely not. I take Gilbert Burns.
Gonna be fun though.
Absolutely.
I'm taking Jason Gonzalez over Jim Miller. I know that's kind of
really
unpopular pick. Jason Gonzalez I think he's 6'3". He's a 6'3", 155-pounder. Jim Miller I think he's 1-5 in his last 6. He's been dealing with, thyroid issues and really struggling in his performances. Taking Jason Gonzalez here for the upset of the name fighter, Jim Miller.
I got Jim Miller, baby. I got Jim Miller. But
why? Because you know his name, or do you have a reason?
Do you guys see what I'm dealing with? Look at this. Look at this verbal abuse that I take.
Just a question.
Yeah, that's the only reason No, I think Jim Miller is gonna knock his ass out. How about that?
Okay.
All right.
It's always a possibility. So, Court McGee coming back, taking Court McGee. Who you see who he's fighting?
Diego Lima.
Oh, Diego Lima.
That's gonna be fun.
That is a fun fight, but I think that Court McGee knows how to stick to his game plan a little more. Super tough. Diego Lima has been all over the place in his UFC performances, so he's really hard to kind of nail down and predict, I would say that Court McGee by unanimous decision here.
I have to agree with you. And can I just say as a side note, what's the deal, Diego? Just go train with your brother. Like he is like Doug.
He does train with his brother.
Well, Douglas Lima has it all figured out, and Diego can't get his shit together. So like, come on, just I don't know. There's something off.
Fighting is harder than it looks, Phil.
Hey, I could have been a champion in the UFC.
You could have been a contender.
I could have been a contender.
Anything else? Okay. Got anything else to call out on this one, or you want to go to Bellator 220?
I think it's time to go to Bellator 220.
I love these double card weekends, especially when we got name opponents all over the place. So, do you want to kick off the main event here, or you want me to do the lead-in?
You know what? I was hogging a little bit last episode, so why don't you take the lead?
Do you want me to do the lead off, or do you want to start?
Yeah, I just said I was hogging last weekend, so you take this one.
All right, you cut out for a second, no worries. So Bellator 220, what are we in the semifinals of the welterweight tournament?
No, this is the last of the quarterfinals.
This is the quarterfinals. Last quarterfinal of the welterweight tournament. Rory McDonald versus John Fitch for the welterweight strap. Rory's coming off a 185-pound loss to champion Gegard Mousasi, and John Fitch is coming off his Bellator debut win over Paul Daly. Who do you got?
I have Rory McDonald via unanimous decision. I know everyone wants me to say it's going to be more exciting, it's going to be this knockout, this and that. I think that what's going to happen is that Rory's going to keep him at distance, pick him apart. Fitch is obviously going to shoot for his life, and it's just not going to work. I think that Rory has a fire lit under him after that Gegard loss, and he's in no mood to lose. And I got Rory by unanimous decision.
Okay. Well, I do agree with you. I don't necessarily think this fight will be full of fireworks. I think this fight will be a lot of Rory defending the takedown.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, getting back to his feet, getting back to distance, pumping that jab, using some kicks, but I think really you're going to see Rory at distance using his jab, trying to piece up John Fitch and defend that takedown. I hate to agree with you, but I do see Rory winning this via unanimous decision.
Yeah, sorry we're agreeing so much today, folks. We got to call this the unanimous decision or something. I don't know what's going on. Let's get into some arguments. Okay, so flyweight world title.
Arguments. Well, we're not going to argue over the flyweight, I don't think.
Alimale. I just love saying that, by the way, guys. So Alimale McFarlane versus.
I'm a big fan of Alimale McFarlane.
Oh, so am I.
Really good.
So am I.
Very good.
Huge fan. Versus Vita Arteaga. I'm sure I pronounced it perfectly, so don't even try to correct me.
I think it's just Vita Arteaga.
That's what I meant. Dude, I was testing you, Fikey.
She is a very tough competitor, boxer-oriented style, but I think Alimale McFarlane's one of the best fighters in Bellator, one of their true stars, taking her via second-round submission.
Oh, gosh. I like that. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Take Vita? I mean, come on.
Do it!
No way. I'm not going to get it wrong just to disagree. I got Alimale. And I think that she's actually going to do this. I think she's going to be pushed a little harder than you think. I think she's going to submit her. She's going to submit Vita in the 4th.
Fair enough. That makes sense. So let's see what else we got.
We got Phil Davis versus Liam McGarry.
No, you're passing over Benson Henderson versus Adam
Piccolotti. But I'm just going by the order of the Bellator website. I know that's kind of like just. I think they put it together literally.
It's a shot in the dark.
They put it together. There's an 18-year-old somewhere getting paid nothing just putting these things together.
Scott Coker's nephew.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we're going with Phil Davis versus Liam McGarry 2. This is the second fight. I believe Phil Davis took the belt from Liam McGarry when he came over from UFC So this would be a big revenge fight for Liam McGarry, who, lost his belt to Phil Davis. Who do you got?
I have to say that I have Phil Davis in a fascinating masterpiece split decision.
I think Phil will get a unanimous decision. I think it'll be him picking away on the outside. And if he's smart, he'll use leg kicks because Liam McGarry has some real problems with those little skinny legs and the leg kicks. So, yeah, unanimous decision, Phil Davis.
Yep. All right. Going to your favorite
Benson
fight.
Henderson versus Adam Piccolotti. You want to go?
Yep. So I'm gonna go a little bit. Benson is the favorite here, and guess what? I disagree. Adam Piccolotti, guys. All right, you heard it here first. He's gonna get it done via third round stoppage. And a quick note on that. I know that Benson Henderson. I'm well aware of what he's accomplished in the UFC. He was the lightweight champion. He defended multiple times. He's actually got an amazing record on paper in terms of, title defenses.
One of the best resumes you'll find.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very fair. All I have to say is that if you find Benson Henderson right now to be an exciting fighter, you're wrong. And your opinion's wrong.
Your opinion is wrong.
So
he was somewhat exciting in that Michael Chandler fight, no? Was he exciting versus Roger Huerta?
When was that? I've seen his last few
fights.
Yeah,
they weren't noteworthy, I guess you could say. With that being said, though, there's no way I'm taking Adam Piccolotti over Benson Henderson with the credentials you named. He's still live enough to fight off guys that are 30 to 50 in the world in that class. So I would still take Benson Henderson here via, I'm going to say, he gets it to the ground and subs Piccolotti.
Wouldn't that be like his first stoppage in 10 years?
It would be, but that means he's due.
Yeah.
Statistics say, Phil.
All right, I got Piccolotti. We're disagreeing. #split podcast.
First time for everything. Okay, do you have the last matchup on the main card?
You're talking about Gaston Bolanos versus Nathan Stolen.
Gaston. Got to take him for the name alone. Taking Gaston Bolanos.
And I am taking Nathan Stolen, also for the name alone.
Okay. All right. So with that being said,
we're such geniuses, guys.
Right. Well, our picks have been so good, we may as well not act like we're too smart. So, with that said, let's move on to I'll let you introduce it.
The listener question.
Okay, you got anything queued up, Phil, the MMA dude?
No, I don't. Actually, I need you to honestly read them all because when I read them from my phone, it screws up the audio.
Okie dokie. So let's see what I got here. First one from John Stargarian, MMA, at MMA Fox, FAWKES. Given the investment the UFC seems to have in Greg Hardy, combined with his ridiculous athleticism, do you think they'll give him enough time to realize his potential and suffer what are sure to be quite a few early career losses without canning him?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a really, really good question. That's a great question. I think that if Greg is able to win, if he's able to get to a 5-2 record, then he's going to buy himself some time. He's going to buy himself some losses. But I think that if he loses, if he's let's say 4-3 or worse, I think they're going to cut him. And I don't think I don't think he will get to 4-3. I think he's going to have like a 5-2, 6-2 record and go on and get that contract extension. But I don't think that Greg has, this total safety net over him where he can just lose and lose and lose. I mean, he's already 3-1. It doesn't matter what the circumstances were.
Right. Well, I think it's pretty clear the UFC's in the Greg Hardy business. I mean, that is clear. He's in his second co-main over many named guys. I mean, Sandhagen Lineker could have been the co-main. Perry versus Oliveira deserves to be a co-main. So he's not even close to deserving being in a co-main spot. So that tells you alone that behind closed doors, the UFC has decided this is a commodity they're going to be pushing, whether we agree, like it or not. That is happening, period.
Yep.
The second part of that is, a guy like Alistair Overeem has 18 losses. Now, I know Alistair Overeem and Greg Hardy are two completely different guys, but what they're essentially selling there is the big muscular guy who knocks people out. So as long as Greg Hardy has a winning record, which based on the way they're booking him, he's going to have a winning record, they're going to be in business with Greg Hardy. So what I think the more interesting question for Greg Hardy is, and not to change it, but is when will they give him someone who can knock him out easily? And that's my question, because right now they're just feeding him guys basically to get round time against, or you know what I mean?
Yep.
So they're setting him up to look good in co-main spots, which means for some reason they're trying to allow Greg Hardy to build goodwill within the fan base on these cards, which means they're essentially in business with him. And I'll circle back around. As long as he's got a winning record, he's going to be here.
Yeah, I agree. Let me ask you a similar question before we move off of Greg Hardy. How far is he going to go in heavyweight? What's your guess? What's the highest ranking that he will accomplish?
Well, considering you can be a heavyweight until you're 44 years old.
True.
He may. I would say if he's in the UFC for the next 10 years potentially, and this whole crop of heavyweights retires, and let's say a Francis Ngannou and a Curtis Blades and a couple guys that come out of nowhere, populate the top 5, I don't see any reason why Greg Hardy in the next, depending on his career, the guy's pretty young still. He has at least a decade if he wants it.
Yep.
Couldn't, potentially challenge for a title someday. I don't know. He has the God-given athleticism to be that guy.
You think he'll challenge for a title, bro? No way!
Potentially pie in the sky type thinking. What I'm saying is 10 years from now, it's impossible to project the heavyweight landscape. All we know is that maybe 3 or 4 guys from this current crop will still be here. If he wants to be here, it looks like he will be here. He's in the very beginning stages of his career. Very beginning stages.
Yeah, I just think of what a Francis Ngannou or even a JDS would do to him. I mean... Well,
exactly.
I think he'll crack the top 8 tops.
I think the first ranked guy he should get is Black Beast.
Ooh.
No doubt.
Yeah, that would be fun.
You let him win a couple more of these guys, these fringe guys that shouldn't even be on the roster, and then, give him a big name. I mean, Greg Hardy's a guy we'll watch get knocked out multiple times before we'll lose interest, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, that's too much coverage for that. Let's move on.
Okay. I got a question. You ready?
Sure.
This is from our very good friend of the program, Quinn at Orthodox1993. Will they give Tony the shot at Khabib before Dustin, or will Tony fight Conor? Go.
Khabib is going to fight Dustin Poirier in Abu Dhabi. I feel like that's a done deal. So Tony will not be fighting Khabib next. No. And again, Tony is not going to be fighting Conor McGregor. They have the same management. This has been the problem forever. This has been stated many times. Tony has threatened to leave his management team because of the bias showed towards Conor McGregor. That management team is not going to pit 2 of their clients against them, especially when one of their clients has the ability to beat the other client who's the biggest star in the sport's history. It makes no sense for them as far as investments go. So the politics of that will keep us from seeing Tony versus Conor. I don't believe that fight will ever happen, Tony versus Conor, for the record.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Just to play
Right.
devil's advocate real fast.
Conor McGregor, I just want to say this because I've been fantasizing about this fight all week.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor versus Justin Gaethje is the perfect fight. I know he doesn't want that. I'm sure he doesn't want that.
He'll never take it.
But good Lord, how epic would that matchup be? How amazing. Justin Gaethje's a guy who can headline cards already. And you put him in there with the biggest headliner of all time. Wow, that would be... I think Conor's going to fight Nate Diaz, Justin Gaethje, and I don't really see too many fights that make sense for him outside of that. You know, he was just in a charity boxing match.
Yep.
I don't know if there's anything to read into it, but who's to say Conor's heart isn't in being a boxer now? You know, who's to say we'll ever see him again? So, who knows?
I was going to say, just to play devil's advocate, while I do think that it's looking very likely that it's Khabib versus Dustin, specifically in Abu Dhabi in September, it's just that Conor is such a X factor, and there's simply never really been a fighter before with his kind of leverage.
But that we're not talking about 2 years ago. His leverage now is much less.
See, I'm going to completely disagree with you there. He brought in 2.4 million pay-per-views. Do you think that was Khabib?
UFC
was that Khabib selling it?
But listen, you don't understand how the new TV structure works. Obviously.
Oh my gosh.
They
yeah.
are basically getting a flat fee through ESPN for their pay-per-views, right?
Uh-huh.
Which is the equivalent to 500,000 buys. Did I hear that? Did you hear that?
We all know. Yes, I did. But we all know that okay, so you're saying ratings don't matter on pay-per-views.
I don't think they matter as much as they once did to the UFC. They still may matter to Conor McGregor, but the UFC is getting like a per diem per se on their pay-per-views where, for instance, if they throw on Pennington versus Nunes and it gets 85,000 views, it doesn't hurt as much as it once did. Therefore, the $2.4 million pay-per-view buys doesn't help as much as it once did. You get what I'm saying? It's all kind of coming back to the median, the mean, the average.
Right. I mean, draws are draws, money is money. I still think that if Conor starts banging the drum, and I don't want this to happen.
How is he not banging the drum? From every indication, he's begging for the Khabib fight. He basically is starting holy wars over trying to get Khabib to look his way for a rematch.
Oh, Conor's all over the place. He's calling someone else out every other week. I mean, he's all over the place with that. I think he's not focused on Khabib. If he was, I think he could steal that fight. But
if he's not focused on Khabib, who's he focused on? Honestly,
no one. Obviously, he's a mess. He's not focused on anyone.
Back to my point. We've probably seen him gone for good. Who knows? I hate this hypothetical Conor McGregor talk that just like never stops. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Until he gives us something concrete to talk about, it's almost like Nate Diaz. It's like when Conor comes back, Nate will come back. If that's not clear yet, you know, I don't know what is. So
Conor's fought a lot more recently than Nate has. A lot more recently than Nate. I'm just saying.
Only because he absolutely had to. I mean, what was he going to do after they stripped him of his belt? Khabib has his belt. He was almost forced to fight Khabib in that essence. You know what I mean? What was he going to do? Be stripped, like Khabib take his belt, and then just forever say that he's the champ?
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I'm not trying to defend Conor here.
He has to try and cash the checks, and he had to try and cash that Khabib check, and obviously didn't work out for him. So, I don't know. I don't see why Conor would want that kind of fight other than the money.
Yep.
Because I would think he would want to get back in there and win right away. But who knows?
Yep.
I got another one by a reusable shoe, at reusable shoe.
Reusable shoe, you're the man. What up, son?
So he says, do you think Overeem is the ultimate gatekeeper? Go ahead. Do you think Overeem is the ultimate gatekeeper?
Yup, I do. Yup.
Okay. I do not. I believe someone like an Andrei Arlovsky, no offense, is more of a gatekeeper than a Overeem at this point. I still think Overeem is probably a top. Well, me and yours definition of a gatekeeper are much different. You think
Arlovsky's not nearly good enough to be a gatekeeper. Not
I know,
anymore.
but a gatekeeper is the guy that determines if you're good enough to be in the roster or not.
No, if you're good enough to like be an elite top fiver is how I interpret gatekeeper.
No, a gatekeeper can't be a top 10 fighter. It's like
all right, well,
they're the antithesis of each other. We've gone over this again. No,
we're disagreeing.
Not,
we have to fight over this.
He's 3 fights from a title at any given time, so it's impossible for him to be a gatekeeper. He may fight for a title again. So, anyways.
Okay, fair.
Okay, he has some more to that. I scrolled past. But he says he'd be down to see Overeem versus Stipe again. I would not. I don't think there's any need to see that.
Rest in peace, Overeem, if that happens.
Right. I think when Stipe comes back, he's going to be really rested and really focused.
Yeah.
So I think that Stipe's next opponent could be in for some trouble. And then
it's probably DC, by the way, from what I've heard now.
Which would be the reasonable thing to do a year later.
Yeah.
And how absolutely overrated was the second Shevchenko sister?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, go ahead. That's his question, but I'll let you take that one since.
Look, honestly, I don't think that Antonina's that overrated. I think that she had a loss where she showed a lot of heart against a very, very tough and game opponent in Roxanne. I think that this is obviously a setback for Antonina, no doubt, but she's at flyweight. I mean, flyweight doesn't have good fighters. Sorry, that's
and again,
just the
how
truth.
old is she? Is she like 26?
Antonina Shevchenko's gonna be fine. So everyone can save their tears. Antonina's gonna be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a tough loss to lose to Roxanne like that.
She'll be fine.
She will be fine though. She just needs to kind of regroup. Most fighters say they learn 10 times as much from a loss than they do in a win. So she was an undefeated fighter to this point. She faced someone who was super savvy and experienced, taught her a few lessons. This is probably good for her in the long run. I still think she will probably be a perennial top 10 fighter in that division once she gets up to speed.
Oh, absolutely. And the only thing I'd have to say about her real fast is that she's got to work on her grappling. She's just got to work on the grappling.
Yeah. All right, got another one from Eduardo at Landa Crew. He says, do you think Max Holloway still has what it takes to beat Khabib, considering how good his takedown defense is and how his striking is superior?
You want me to take it or you to take it first?
I'll just say that Max Holloway's a great champion. He's a great fighter. Not taking anything away from him, but I do not think he has what it takes to beat Khabib. No. I just don't. I think that we saw a big size discrepancy between Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway. Khabib is traditionally a guy who is bigger and cuts a lot of weight, even has a hard time getting to the 155 weight limit. So I think that Khabib would have an enormous strength advantage over Max Holloway in that match after seeing the Poirier fight. That's just my I don't know, the way I see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I before this fight, I thought that Max had a lot to offer Khabib in terms of problematic matchup wise, but Max looked so small against Dustin. Again, not in size but in frame. I think he would be absolutely mauled by Khabib. I do not think Max would have anything for Khabib at all.
Yeah, again, that's nothing against Max.
No, I love Max. He's one of my favorite fighters.
Yeah, I love him too. But yeah, that's just it. After looking at the facts, I think that's a much tougher fight than we originally thought. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So. Well, I think that's all we had. Listener questions this week. A relatively mild week. You want me to take it away?
Wait, hold up. We got one more. You're about to miss out on my boy, Kenneth Robert at Mr.
Oh, sorry, Ken.
At Mr. _ Tiddlewinks. That's Kenneth Robert. That's at Mr. _ Tiddlewinks. He said, What are your thoughts on Ray Borg's pledge to now take weight cutting seriously and his claims to retire if he ever misses weight again?
Okay, I'm glad we circled back around to this one because I like this one. First of all, what does he mean take it seriously now? How long has he been in the UFC? He's fought for a title. He hasn't been taking it seriously to this point?
I mean, he does have a child who's on the verge of death.
You're right. So, taking that back, I don't think he should have painted himself in the corner by saying that he will retire. But, I just feel like the weight cutting thing is like day one stuff. If you're going to be a fighter, like you should figure out your weight class and then figure out your weight cutting.
Yeah. By the way, lest I sound, not sensitive. Obviously, all my thoughts and prayers towards Ray and his son. I can't imagine what that's like. But I do believe that this is a rare instance, Fight Geek, where he deserves a little bit of a break because a little bit of a pass because of the circumstances. I can't imagine what that's like.
I can see that. Anybody with a heart can see that. But with that being said, you gotta weigh in. You gotta make the weight if you're gonna be a fighter, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's why I appreciated him saying what he said, where he said, if I miss weight again, I'm done. I appreciated that. And I respected that. And I believe him.
But see, I don't think that anybody wants to see him done, though. So it's not like he's doing us a favor by retiring if he doesn't make weight. You know what I mean? So it's not like that does anything for me if Ray Borg retires. That's how a guy makes money for his family. He's an exciting young fighter. So I don't want to see him retire if he's not able to make weight or figure this out. So that's what I mean by I don't like him painting himself into that retirement hole to where if something goes wrong again, especially considering his family life and his personal life, to where he would have that out there and feel like maybe he has to make good on that, because life's unpredictable. So I don't like to paint yourself into a corner like that, I guess is my point.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Again, I hope I didn't sound, insensitive.
You made me sound insensitive, you jerk.
No, seriously, all my thoughts and prayers towards Ray and his family. I mean, I can't even imagine. What that's like. Having said that, I completely understand your point. No one wants to see him go anywhere. I respected him for saying that he was going to quit if he misses weight again, because you're right that weight cutting has been a really big problem for him before even his son was born. So, he was missing weight before that. But I really like Ray. I really care about Ray. I wish him all the best, and I hope that I hope that he's able to get through this.
I second that. Absolutely. So, with that said, that's going to do it for this week, right?
Yeah, take us away.
All right, guys. As usual, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, Soundcloud, YouTube, Google Play, and Stitcher. I'm at the Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. We're at Split_podcast. That's 4 words. The Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you next week. Peace.